Hello, hello, happy Monday. Come on in, join me. Hello, hello, hello. Come on and join me. Happy Monday. Listen, go ahead and hit your share as you're coming in. Grab some pen and paper. It's going to be good tonight. You're going to want to get this. Happy Monday. Few minutes early tonight, but hey, y'all in the house. Come on and join me. Say hello to me. Let me know you're there. And then go ahead and hit your share. Grab you some pen and paper. And we're going to dive in tonight. I'm going to give it a few minutes. I'm a little early. So if you're hitting your share, invite the people to come on. Hey, Kim, how you doing? You doing good? Everybody well? Good to see you on tonight. Go ahead and grab you some pen and some paper. Good, 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 good. Glad all is well. Hey, Mary, how you doing? Happy Monday. All right, happy Monday to everybody. Definitely go ahead and hit your share. People will catch up in a minute. They're normally used to me coming on around 8:30, a little early tonight, but it's all good. Of course, whatever they missed, they can go back and watch the replay. Definitely want to say I hope that all is well with you and yours, that you're staying healthy, you're staying safe, you're staying inside, and you're not taking any risks during this time. We definitely want to make sure that we are using wisdom. And but in the midst of what we are experiencing globally, locally, and on your level, in your state, wherever you are in your city, we want to continue to be mindful of the opportunities that we have in this season and take advantage of that. So definitely want to just first say that, praying for you and yours, that all is well. For those of you who are joining, hello to you. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining. Please go ahead and hit your share. And then you want to grab you some pen and paper. I want to share some practical nuggets tonight to just encourage you, number one. Number two, to maybe help you to think in a different way. If you have not been thinking along these lines, it may be information that you are aware of, maybe in the back of your mind, but you haven't thought about it at the forefront. Because sometimes we get caught up in whatever the crisis is, and that's our focal point. And not that you shouldn't be aware, not that you shouldn't be alert, not that you should not be paying attention to what's happening, paying attention to the news, checking in, but you don't want that to consume your time, because at the end of the day, there are other purposes for which we are in this particular season, and so we want to make sure that we take advantage of this time. And so I want to talk to you tonight, and I said, handle your business. Be. All right. So what I want to talk about when I say be, I want to consider these four areas, and then I'm going to kind of break down some things and talk about some things tonight. Number one, be intentional. Number two, be strategic. Number three, be consistent. And number four, you want to be prepared. Now, why is that important? At the end of the day, we're quarantined, we're off work. For some of us, for me, work is still going on. For others of you, work is still going on. But at the end of the day, there's still opportunity. We cannot sleep during this time. We have to be awake. We have to be focused. We have to be alert. One thing we cannot assume is that once things are lifted, the quarantine is lifted, businesses are open, churches are open again, it will not be back to business as usual. I don't know if you thought it was, but it will not be business as usual. If we sleep during this season, we will not be ready on the other side of this situation. So we have to be alert, we have to be awake, we have to be open, and we have to make sure that we are intentional, we have to be strategic, we have to be consistent, and we have to be prepared. What do we have to be intentional about? We have to be intentional about, number one, our families. Okay, we got to be intentional about that. Even in this season, things are happening. People are contracting this virus that are healthy, never really been sick, all kinds of situations. You don't want to be caught with your work undone. And so, when things happen, we have to think holistically about everything that happens in our life and that goes on in our life. That's why we have to make sure that we do our checklist. Are you prepared in your house? Is everything in order? Insurance policies. If you don't have insurance, I'd encourage you to get some insurance. Make sure that you are taken care of and those in your family are taken care of. For me, I have made sure I have encouraged my children, even grown children, make sure that you have your business in order. We have to make sure that we are paying attention to everything around us. So be intentional about your house, how it flows, that you have a process, you have an order for what's going on in your house. Number one. Number two, you have a business, you have an organization, you have a ministry. You want to make sure, determine, and I've said this before, determine the things. Be intentional about where you are now, where you were before this quarantine took place, and where you need to be on the other side of it. And then you need to make sure that you are making the necessary modifications, corrections, updates. If you don't have policies, processes, and procedures for your business, for your ministry, for your organization, if you don't have a plan of action for your home, then you need to make sure that you put something in place. Things can happen at the drop of a dime, and we have to make sure at as much as possible that we are prepared. And on top of being prepared, which is another one of the B's, then we got to make sure that we institute and incorporate wisdom as in the process of that. Okay, so be intentional, be strategic, be consistent, be prepared. Those are the areas I'm kind of talking about tonight. And so you want to make sure. So what are your daily disciplines? What are your daily disciplines even now? Are we taking care of business? It's still Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Time hadn't stopped. So things are still rolling. So what are you doing? What are your daily disciplines? Because it's so easy for us to get, caught into a comfort zone. And so then when the quarantine lifts and it's time to go back to business, it's time to go back to ministry, are we prepared for what is going to happen? Because it's not going to be business as usual. You got to determine how you going to function on the other side of this. What is your process? How are you going to handle business on the other side of this holistically? If you have not taken the time to start to jot this information down, then you need to do that. So you need to establish daily disciplines even now. You need to establish daily disciplines for how you're going to operate, operationally, how you're going to function, financially. All your ducks need to be enrolled. If you weren't doing a budget, you need to do a budget. That's why some people are tripping about when they're going to get a stimulus, because they weren't doing a budget. They weren't prepared. They didn't have things in order, didn't have things in place. They had no savings or whatever the case may be. You need to make sure that you are being intentional about what is happening in your life. This is the time. This is the season. So we can't sleep. This ain't the time to chill. This is the time to get to work. So you cannot be chilling every day and taking naps every 4 hours. You got to make sure, you just can't just be in la la land. This is the time to make sure you're ready for on the other side. Last week I talked about winning. This is a season for winning, but you got to make sure that you're preparing yourself now, being prepared for the winning side. Because on the other side of this, you got to establish what you do in ministry, however you function, in business, however you function, whatever you do, is what you do, what you offer. Is it a want or is it a need? Based on your perspective, based on your position, where you are, how you're going to position yourself after this situation has culminated. On the other side of this, you got to be prepared. If you haven't taken the time to be prepared, I'm telling you, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks, because you're not going to be ready. Okay? So we got to make sure that we are practicing our daily discipline. What is your daily discipline? Are you praying? Because it's all incorporated. Spiritual is all incorporated. So are you praying? Are you making sure that you are determining what your priorities are? Are you writing those things down? Are you checking your list? Have you really analyzed where you are, and are you filling the gaps in your process? Are you taking the time to reestablish those things? Are you making sure that you are, in fact, putting SOPs in place? That's standard operating procedures for business owners or for organizational leaders or for ministry leaders. What did you determine was not working properly when this situation occurred and you had to be forced to make this decision, whatever the decision was, when you had to be quarantined in your house? Was your house together? Were you one of those that had to rush out and get stuff because you didn't have things in place? Were you one of those persons that had to determine what your protocol was going to be? And at some, to some degree, everybody had to have some type of conversation about what they were going to do. But if you had some measures in place, then that conversation should have been pretty, determined, and it should have been already pretty much organized, basically, because all you had to do was then put your emergency process in place, right? In the event something was to occur, you should always have a disaster relief type of situation documented. That way, when something occurs, now it's coronavirus this time, it's COVID-19 this time, it could be a flood next time, it could be a disaster, a storm, anything. It could be anything. Are you prepared? What's the protocol? What do you do? If you do not have a process in place, listen to me, people of God, you need to take time. It's important. I talk about this all the time: pen to paper, processes, policies, procedures. Policies is what you do. Procedures is how you, process is how you do it, and procedures are the steps to get it done. Do you have processes in place? What does that look like? Who does what? If this person is in place, who's the next person in line? How are you going to handle that? Here's the other thing. For those people who are not technically savvy, not digitally savvy, you got to get up to par. I'm telling you, because in this, you see, it has forced people that were not technically savvy to get technically savvy. A lot of people, I don't like social media, but if you're not communicating at this point, because everybody at the house. So we have got to make sure we can't sleep. We have got to be awake. You got to wake up. I'm trying to hope. I'm trying to hope. And for those of you who have taken the time to diligently assess where you are and begin to do this exercise, kudos to you. If you have not, I'm encouraging you to do so. If you need help, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have some daily disciplines now, so that when this thing lifts, you're just ready to flow into what it is you need to do. You need to establish how you're going to operate, how you're going to function, what you're going to do. Okay, so that means you have to establish your daily disciplines now. What are the things that you need to get done? What are the priorities? I'm not saying 10 things at one time, but what is the number one thing that you need to conquer? You need to get that. You need to establish your list. You need to start working toward that. Be intentional about being progressive, and not only that, but maximizing the opportunity that you have. Because in order for you to have maximum impact, you got to have a plan of action in place. I've said this all along. You have to have a plan of action in place. Will you have to execute it? Maybe, maybe not. But it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. Because when you don't have a plan of action in place, it causes fear. We have these knee-jerk reactions. Then people are nervous and it's chaotic. People are, all in disarray because there's no plan of action in place. But when you have a plan of action, if you have a disaster recovery type situation in place, then you know where your backup phone calls are going to go. You know the person who's going to be watching, looking out for your people, who's going to be contacting people, who's going to be rallying people, who's going to be checking on people, who's going to be making sure that this happens, that happens, and the other thing happens. I'm telling you, if you don't have this plan in place, people of God, you need to make sure you got one. You have one for your house. For myself, I'm a single woman. I have adult children. My children, everybody in my family is all together. Thank the Lord. During this particular time. And so this is an opportunity for us to determine how we're going to handle things going forward. Had they not been here, but had they not been here, then there's a plan of action. From my oldest to my youngest, there's a plan of action on who does what. What happens should this occur? Even for myself, something happens to me, then they know. My oldest knows what he's supposed to do. Then the daughter, she knows what she's supposed to. So you got to have a plan of action. See, this whole thing about we ain't talking to each other and we don't get along, and anybody got time for that? You better sit down and listen. Have your family sit at the table. I'm trying to hope tonight, Reverend Leo. I'm trying to hope. I'm trying to hope tonight. Sit down, have a conversation. I don't care about who and what. This is not the time. This is the time to establish order, reestablish order. It's a reset. It's a reorganizing. It's a recalibration. It's a restoration. It's restoration. So it's time to re-up. Okay, it's time to re-up. Sit down and have these conversations. I'm telling you, it's time to have these conversations. So you got to maximize the impact for your daily disciplines. Okay, so the 4 areas I'm talking about tonight, and I'm kind of going in and out. Be intentional, be strategic, be consistent, and be prepared. So when we're talking about being strategic, you got to put everything on the table, everything you got going on. Like I talked about, insurances, monies, bank accounts, business plans, business situations, business operationally, what you're doing, what you're not doing, what were you doing prior to COVID-19? What are you going to do after that? Because see, people are going to be picking and choosing what they need versus what they want. So if your business structure is it's a want, I could take it or leave it, then you got to establish how you gonna really approach this thing when this quarantine lifts, because there's going to be a whole lot of things that are going to be different. Some businesses are not going to go back to operating. Some businesses are going to close. Some businesses are going to reopen, and it's going to be a rush. But there are going to be a lot of changes. You got to be ready. I'm telling you. Say I said it, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a different flow. You got to be prepared. You better sit down. You got to think about what's happening, what's going on in your area, in your community, in your family. I'm telling you, you got to take the time to assess these areas. So you want to clarify your priorities. Clarify your priorities. In your strategy plan, you want to clarify your priorities. That's key. You got to sit down, you got to take the time, and you got to establish what your priorities are. And then you need to document those. Clarify what they are, document them, and then have conversations with the necessary folks. Because if you don't take the time to do this, you'll get caught in a whirlwind, and I'm telling you, you'll be drowning just for lack of organization and lack of planning. You got to have a plan in place. Listen, this is a real thing, and I've seen some reports, I've watched some stories, and I'm sure all of you have as well. And what we have to do is we have to draw wisdom from it. We have to learn from it. There are people going in hospitals, they're dying and not coming out. There was one story I saw, the husband went in on the 13th of March. He died on the 19th. The family never saw him again. So you got this whole thing. You got some people think they health. I got 20 years. I ain't going nowhere. Have your business in order. I'm telling you, got to have your stuff in order. Life is too short, and we don't know from day. The only thing we know is we know that Jesus is the Son of God, and He's in control. But you don't know when something's gonna knock on your door. You don't know what's gonna come on your street. So we can't assume that we have all the time in the world, because this whole situation is proven to us we don't. Okay, everybody shut down. Church shut down. I don't care if you pastored 10,000 or 10. Your doors is closed. Okay. Corporations, whether you had $1 billion industry or $100, it's closed. And it's not. Listen, we all in the same boat. We're in the same boat, in the same sea. So listen, we got to get this thing together. We got to get it together. So clarify your priorities. Make sure they're clear. Make sure you document them. Okay, make sure you document them. Put a time frame on yourself. Listen, you got at least another 30 days because they done extended this stay at home to the end of April. So you got time. So time ain't the issue. It's whether or not you're going to invest this time appropriately while you have the time. So you're being forced to put a plan of action in place. You're being forced to establish a process, a policy, a procedure for what it is you do for your house, for your ministry, for your organization, whatever it is you do. You are being forced to get that done. Those of you who are joining, we're talking about 4 areas tonight. Be intentional, be strategic, be consistent, and be prepared. And I'm kind of going in and out of these tonight. And so you definitely want to share if you haven't shared. And if you don't have pen and paper, you want to grab some. All right. So listen, then along with your daily discipline, you need to have an agenda. Control your agenda every day. See, you can't do everything every day. So you determine if you're going to be progressive and you're going to maximize your time and you're going to have these daily disciplines, then each day you should be making some type of progress. Like I had an agenda for today. There was something I wanted to make sure I got accomplished today. So that was on the agenda along with a couple of other items. Well, as a result of that, I made progress today. because I had an agenda that was a control agenda. I didn't have 50 things on my agenda. I had 3. Okay, I had 3 things on my agenda. If you take care of 2 to 3 items a day, you'll make some progress in the next 30 days. I promise you. Even if it comes to writing. And when I say reach out to me if you need help, I'm serious. Reach out to me. I'm not asking you for anything, but I'm saying this is the time for us to help each other. And I'm telling you, it's important that you have some structure. You have some structure in your house. You have some structure in your business. You have some structure in your organization, your ministry. It's important that you do that. So you want to control your agenda each day. So I hope you're taking this down. Then you want to make sure that you're establishing. That's why you can't sleep every day. So check in, see what's going on. But you ought to be working. You ought to have an agenda every day of something you are accomplishing. And when you get on the other side of this, you're ready to win. You're ready to be a conqueror. All right? You're ready to accomplish some things. Okay? So then, in addition to your daily disciplines, maximizing your impact, that's what's going to give you the opportunity to do that. Clarifying your priorities and controlling your agenda. You want to make sure that in this season, you're stretching your creativity. I don't care what age you are. You need to be stretching your creativity. What does that mean? That means you're thinking about what needs to happen versus what was happening and what can happen. What can you do? Because here's the other thing. Like I said, it's not going to be business as usual on the other side of this. So what do you have in the house? Just like God is most, what you got in the hand? What you have in the house? What do you have in the house? So where's the creativity? If your creativity, you've allowed it to be dormant, you haven't been doing some of the things you need to do. There's some folks that need to be writing some books. Not necessarily looking for clients, but I'm just saying you need to write. You need to be writing. There's a story that needs to be told. Some of you been saying you're going to write a book the last 7 years. You ain't wrote, even the intro. Okay. Stretch your creativity during this time. Begin to just write. It doesn't have to be perfect, but get it on paper. All right. You got the time to do it. Stretch your creativity. Stretch yourself. Go outside of your comfort zone. Do some things that you've been talking about doing, but you hadn't done. So this is the time to stretch your creativity. Don't stay in a comfort zone. What else is that you know how to do? If you know how to sing, maybe you want to do something else that's artistic. There may be, I think Sister Henderson was on here, and I saw she posted the other day that she has started back to sewing. That's time consuming. Well, now she has a time. That's creativity. Not only that can flourish into a business. That could be lucrative. So there are so many things. I'm telling you, I've been saying this all along. Well, we got to make sure that we're not just putting all our eggs in one basket and sitting on it. You need to put 2 eggs over here, 2 over there, 3 over there, 4 over there, because you don't know what's going to happen. So you want to always make sure that you're just not in one corner and in one circle and you just stay right there. You get in your comfort zone and you don't even come out your box. You just stay right there. So we got to think a little bit more strategically. Here's the other thing. You not only want to stretch your creativity, but you want to stretch your thinking. Okay, come out of traditional thinking. Come out of the same old thing, 1, 2, 3. No, let's do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You just do ABC. Now do D, E, F, and G, H, I. Come on. We got to come out of the traditional thinking because things are changing. Okay, and so we've got to learn to adapt and adjust. We got to learn to adapt and adjust. Okay, because right now everybody's being forced to adapt and adjust. Here's the thing. Our communication needs to be adjusted. And we need to adapt our communication. I've heard several times that domestic violence has gone up. It's peaked since the quarantine happened because people ain't used to being in the house together. They ain't used to talking to each other. They ain't used to being in each other's space like that. So people tripping. People are losing it. So we got to make sure that our communication is clear. It's concise. And we learn how to communicate on a level that is peaceful and that we get things done. Because it can work if you work it. Right? So you want to make sure that you're not only stretching your creativity, but you're stretching your thinking. All right. And then what are you thinking about? Philippians 4, 6-8. What are the kind of things you're thinking about? Those are the things you need to be thinking about. Do we need to be aware of what's going on? Yes, we do. Do we need to make sure that we're keeping up on what's happening around us and in our country? Absolutely we do. But I'm telling you, whose report you're going to believe. So you got to make sure that your thinking, your speaking is positive. Your thinking and your speaking is positive. You got to be optimistic, and then you got to stand on the word. What does the word say? Trust in the Lord with all my heart. Lean not to, your own understanding. Always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. path. He's going to give you clarity. He's going to give you direction. He's going to give you what you need to do. All right. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. All these other things will be added. We got to stay on point. We got to keep the main thing the main thing. The word has to be the foundation, right? The word has to be the foundation. So stretch your thinking. All right. Stretch your thinking. And then here's the deal. The other part I talked about earlier, and I've said this over and over again, when it comes to money, when it comes to managing your money, you got to improve upon that. We got to improve upon managing our money. We got to make sure that we're always in a place of operationally functioning. So you got to make sure you have a budget on a consistent basis. If you've never done a budget, you've not written your numbers down, now's the time to do it. I'm telling you, these numbers are not going to change because you're not looking at them. Okay, so you got to take the time, put your budget together. If you want a template that'll help you, a basic template, reach out to me. I'll be happy to send one to you. Or you can go to my website on the product page at the bottom, bridgetmoody.com, and download a template. That'll help you to get your strategy together, get your plan together. And here's the deal. You need to look at, it's just like me. I've been evaluating the amount of money I spend weekly versus what I'm spending now. Okay, so that lets me know some stuff I can cease doing, and that's gonna save me some money, right? And when I save that money, what am I gonna do with it? So we got to determine that this is the time to invest. Stocks are low, the market's down, but it's coming back. So here's the deal. Get your mutual fund. Start your savings account. Start building your emergency fund up. You can get a mutual fund for as little as $1,000. Over the next few years, that money will have grown and compounded. All right? We got to think outside the box, people. I'm telling you, we got to think outside the box. So you got to think about improving, managing your money. How are you handling that? Are you doing your budget? Are you looking at your numbers? Are you looking at what you got? Like I said the other day, some subscriptions and stuff I had, like sports packages and stuff. Well, ain't no sport. Ain't nobody playing nothing now. They ain't playing football, it-ball, no ball. Ain't nothing going on. So I don't need that. X that. Cancel that. We don't need that right now. So think about, these are little things you could do, subscriptions and things of that nature that you normally have. And sometimes we get these things because it's $9, $10, but they add up. You get 5 or 6, that's $50, $60, $70 in subscriptions and things that you may use one time. So there are a lot of different things. Write down everything that you spend money on and see where you can make an adjustment. Okay, so you want to improve on managing your money. And then finally, I've said this earlier. Well, not finally, I got one more thing. You want to make sure that you're improving on relationships during this time. You want to make sure you're checking on family members. You want to make sure that you're communicating. You want to make sure that you are having conversations. For some of us, there have been conversations that needed to be had and we haven't had them. Now's a good time to have those conversations. And I'm not talking about digging up stuff out the ground 6 feet, from 6 feet under and all that. No, let's just have a conversation. Let's start where you are. Okay, let's have conversations. Let's make sure we're communicating with our families. If you got to have, some Zoom sessions, or you got to get on a group chat, live, whatever the case may be, take some time to interact with your family and understand what's happening with everybody. And then if there's anything that has been harbored, hey, get rid of it. Life too short. People checking out of here. People going to the hospital, they ain't coming back. All right. So let's make sure that we are improving upon our relationships. That's with friends, that's with family, that's with coworkers, that's with your ministry leaders. Because come on, let's just be honest. Some stuff is just trivial. We just petty, should I say? Because things are not done the way we think they ought to be done. At the end of the day, when we get in situations like this, it's totally irrelevant. You understand what I'm saying? Totally irrelevant. So let's make sure we're building our relationships. We're improving upon our relationships. We're checking on one another. We're sharing love. We're walking in love. And we're encouraging people, because all of us, at the end of the day, all of us are at a different level. Okay, all of us at a different level spiritually. All of us are at a different level intellectually. So whatever we can do to encourage one another, that's what you want to be doing. You want to make sure you're encouraging people. You want to make sure you're praying and interceding, because everybody doesn't have the same level of strength. So we got to cover people. We got to cover people that we know are in the healthcare industry, cover our pastors. We definitely got to cover our pastors and our ministry leaders. So we got to rally our thinking, and we got to make sure that we're improving on all of our relationships, whatever they are. Let's improve upon them, and let's reach out and see what we can do to be a blessing, even if it's just an encouraging word and say, hey, I'm praying for you, love you. If there's anything I can do, let's just extend that. All right. Then the last thing I want to talk about is you want to nurture your personal growth during this time. You want to nurture your personal growth. You want to be reading. For me, I'm leveling up, and when I say that, I'm tuning in to different networking opportunities and virtual sessions where there's opportunities for me to learn things that I can utilize when this lifts, things that I can be working on during this time, so that I can be better on the other side, establishing how I'm going to approach my audience, my nucleus. When this is over, what's my approach going to be? Because it's shifting, it's going to change. And so that's a process that I'm already in the process of working on and revamping, because it's going to be different. So some of the things I was planning to do even the remainder of this year are no longer in progress, because it's shifted. There's been a total shift there. So as it relates to that shift, and relative to that, I am making a shift in how I'm going to handle that. So I'm recalibrating my approach for when this lifts. What I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, where things are going to be invested, how monies are going to be spent, and what I need to do, and what my target is going to be. Because at the end of the day, listen, you have to be ready to make adjustments. Okay, and so I encourage you to listen in to people who have information that can benefit you, that can help you to grow personally. You want to be listening, and you ain't necessarily got to say anything, but listen in. And there are a lot of platforms that are out there, a lot of things I share. For those of you that are not on LinkedIn, I'd encourage you to get connected on LinkedIn. I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. That is a nucleus, especially for business persons and entrepreneurs. There's a lot of information that's out there. And when this lifts, these are the things that you definitely want to make sure that you're connecting with. There are coaches out there. There are consultants out there. There are persons who are doing all kinds of things from an entrepreneur perspective. Practical information that you want to connect with. A couple of the organizations that I'm a part of here in the Dallas area, connecting with those, business networking, the Chamber of Commerce, and other massive networking opportunities, and connecting. And here's the other thing: we got to get out of our comfort zones if we're going to make it in this next flow, in this next wave. You got to get out of your comfort zone, okay? Professionally, spiritually, in every way. Church is going to be different. I'm telling you, church is going to be different. Businesses are going to be doing business on a different level. Do you know how many businesses are functioning from work at home now that weren't initially? And then you had some that were partially, that are total work at home for whatever operational functionality that they have happening right now. This whole trajectory is going to change. I have a client right now that I'm transitioning to a digital platform, and reestablishing the culture of his business. Because things have changed drastically. And so we got to get ready. We got to tap into it. You got to invest some time. You got to read up. You got to make sure you understand what's going on. If you don't know these platforms like me, if it's a platform on there, I grab these children, or I get on, Google it. If they can't help me with it, I'm going to Google it. I'm going to figure it out. You understand? So learn something new. I've learned a new software in the midst of all this going on, totally outside of my comfort zone. It's for the construction world, but I'm preparing for other construction clients that are going to come down the pipe, because they're going to need some policies, processes, procedures. They're going to need somebody to teach and train this software. So you got to put some other stuff in your basket. Come on now. Put some other stuff in your basket. Get some other things in there. Stretch your thinking, stretch your creativity. Get your daily disciplines in order. Control your agenda. Make sure you have the maximum impact. And you want to make every day count. Every day, you want to make every day count. And I want to challenge you every day. You need to have at least a minimum of 3 items on your agenda. What are you going to accomplish tomorrow? Start with tomorrow. Now, just sit down and think about it. You already got your pen and paper. I asked y'all to get pen and paper before I started. So you already got your pen and paper. What are 3 things you're going to accomplish tomorrow? That may be making phone calls. That may be getting on the website and taking care of something. That may be completing, some type of online submission, whatever that is. It may be updating your website, whatever that is, or establishing a website, starting a website if you don't have one. For some of you, you may need to overhaul your Facebook pages. You may need to go to a different platform, a different level, whatever that is. But whatever that is, make sure that you have 3 items that you accomplish in each day. At least 3 items on your agenda. Okay? For some of you that are a little bit more savvy, you may want to do 5. But you want to make sure that you're at least have you 3 agenda items every day. Now, I'm going to hang on a second. Anybody got questions for me? I don't care what it is. Just any questions you have for me about anything I shared, anything that I do as a consultant. I definitely encourage you, policies, processes, procedures. If you are a ministry leader within your ministry, take the initiative, write some things down to at least share with your ministry, your pastor. Or if you're an organizational leader, then take the time to, write down some things to offer to your board, some things that, think about how you can do what you do better. Think about how you can improve upon what's being done. What can you offer on a different level in this next season? Okay. Any questions, anybody? And I know it takes a second, so I'm going to give a minute. Thank you all for your interaction and everything tonight. Listen, definitely share this. And I hope that it'll be beneficial to others as they will listen in and take the notes. Any questions about anything? Any questions? Anything anybody want me to repeat? I saw some of you were scribing. Thank you so much for scribing. Listen, that's on my list, bro. I've got to do it. I got to finish the ones I started, and I got a couple of new ones. Absolutely. Got to do it. Got to do it. Got to get the EP out this year. We're going to make it happen, too. It's on the list. It's on the list. Absolutely. Any questions? Anybody got any questions? I don't care what it is. Now's the time. This free information, this free consulting. Ask your questions. Definitely want to make sure that you, like I said, that you working on your plan of action. There is a template on my website. If you can't find it, reach out to me. I'll be happy to send it to you. That'll help just kind of guide you through putting your tasks together. I call it a 5T strategy model. I've revamped that a little bit. So one of the things I'm also doing is writing another book. And because there's opportunity in this season. So in that 5T strategy model, so first thing you want to do is you want to task it. You want to determine what task you need. That's a part of your strategy. You want to determine the task that you need to get done in order to make it to the goals that you have set, your objectives. Then you want to tell it. You want to talk about it. You want to describe it. You want to lay everything out about those tasks. What is it going to require for you to get those tasks done? What are your resources? Who you need to connect with? All of those things are going to be important. Love you too, Rev Leo. Did I hope you tonight? Did I hope you tonight? So you want to task it. You want to tell it. Then you want to time it. Timing is important. And this is one of the things that I do as a consultant with every client. I start with a 90-day stretch. 90 days, most in general, if people cooperate and do what they're supposed to do, I can get you done in 90 days. If it's not an extensive type situation, whatever it is, writing a book, establishing policies, processes, procedures, whatever it may be, helping you to structure, get structure and infrastructure for your ministry. If you need to develop roles, descriptions, if you need to do a handbook, whatever that is, then usually within 90 days. Why is it important for you to set time parameters? Because when we don't set time parameters, that's when things get away from us. But if we set time parameters, it gives us focus and it gives us structure. So you want to time it. You want to task it. You want to tell it. You want to time it. And then you want to track it. So it's important that you monitor and control what's going on. You can't just do a task and then you go by the wayside. You don't know if people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, if you reached out to somebody, if they got the information you need. So you got to track and monitor that information. If you're collabing with somebody, you got to make sure that person is following up and they're following through. Okay. And then the fifth one is trace it. So that means you got to follow through to execution. All right. You got to follow it through to execution. So that's the 5T strategy model. The book's coming out real soon on that. It'll be glory after this. So you want to track it. You want to tell it. You want to time it. You want to track it. And you want to trace it. Okay. That's a 5T strategy model. So that gives you a framework to help you. Hey, Ben. Thanks for joining. So that gives you a framework for establishing what you need to do and how you need to go about doing it. Okay. So for those of you that I hope a lot of people, thank you, Reverend. I appreciate you so much. So you definitely want to use those parameters to give yourself some structure. Listen, take the time tonight, right after this, because see, when we don't do stuff when it's fresh, a lot of times we don't do it. Take a few minutes, if it ain't but 10 minutes, once I'm off, and sit down. Number one, get your 3 items, your 3 agenda items for tomorrow. Okay? What are you going to accomplish tomorrow? 3 agenda items. You want at least 3 things, a minimum of 3. If you can do more than that, that's fine. But 3 items that you know you need to accomplish tomorrow. So you're going to clarify your priorities. You're going to set your daily disciplines, and you're going to control your agenda. So set you 3, at least a minimum of 3 things that you're going to handle on tomorrow. Okay? So that's important. And then for your plan of action, to structure what you're doing, you want to use that 5T strategy model. Okay. Catherine just put it on the screen for me. So it's there. She got all 5 up. Yeah. You got task it, tell it, time it, track it, and trace it. Trace it is the last one. Okay. Task it, time it, task it, tell it, time it, track it, trace it. Okay. So those are the 5 phases. Okay. So got a book coming out that's going to go into much more detail about that strategy model, but it works. It works. It works for any industry. It works for any situation. It works for any business. It works for any ministry. If you will take the time, I'm telling you, this is the time to get yourself restructured. This is the time to get a plan of action in place. This is the time to establish your policies, your processes, and your procedures. This is the time to get you a disaster recovery process in place, an emergency process in place. This is the time to do it, especially for you business owners and you ministry leaders. I'm telling you, you need to have a plan of action. Even from a digital perspective, what's your setup going to be? How are you going to do that? There may be other times that you'll have to do total virtual ministry, total virtual business, however you need to do that. You need to be prepared to function in that regard. So if you don't have a plan of action in place, can I do my business virtually? Have you even thought about it? What would be required for you to do that? Think about those things, jot those things down, and then determine what you have, what you don't have, what you need to put in place. Okay? All right. Any questions? Anybody else have questions? Anybody have a question? Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for chiming in, engaging tonight. Y'all were in here tonight. You were listening. I can tell y'all listening. Listen, I'm asking you to share this for those of you who have come on maybe at the end. Go back and listen to it. I talked about handle your business. Just be intentional, be strategic, be consistent, and be prepared. And let me go back to being consistent. It's important in this season because of the plight of what's happening that you are consistent in whatever you're doing, whether that's ministry, whether that's business, however you're communicating with your audience, your clients, whatever it is you're doing, that you are consistent with that. You can't be on and off, in and out. You have got to be consistent. You have got to maintain communication. You got to maintain collaboration, and you got to make sure that you're consistent. Consistency is the key. Because in this day and time, I'm telling you, the attention span is there's so much going on. There's so much being offered, even virtually, electronic, digitally. So you have got to be consistent in what you're doing. All right. You have got to make sure that you have a communication plan that's clear and it's concise. So being consistent is important. Because that's going to help you with your sustainability and maintaining your business structure, your ministry structure, whatever it is you got going on. And so you got to continue to, as I stated, stretch your thinking and stretch your creativity. It's going to be necessary in this season. Okay, so for those of you who have been a little lax, you've been a little slow, all right, it's time to speed up. It's time to get in the mix. It's time to stir up your Kool-Aid. It's time to get with the program, sister. It's time to get with the program, my brother. And let's do this on another level, okay? So that means we got to invest some time. You got to invest some time writing things down. Jot before you journal. And here's the thing. If things come to mind, just jot it down. But then you need to go back and you need to elaborate on that. You need to pray about it. You need to ask for revelation on it and get some clarity so that you can walk that thing out, okay? Because that's going to be important. That's going to be important. Anybody else have questions? I'm hanging on for a minute for anybody who may have questions. Was this good? I hope it was beneficial for you tonight. I hope I was able to help you. I hope I was able to help you. And if nothing else, to give you something to think about. There are a lot of people who have the opportunities to help you when it comes to financial products and things of that nature. One of those persons just joined, Edna Smith, so definitely you want to reach out to her if you are interested in any type of financial products such as insurance or investments or anything like that. She can get you going, get you set up. I'm telling you, this is the time you need to invest, and it can be done virtually. And so I don't refer anybody I don't trust. She handles my stuff. And so she'll take care of you. You may know someone else, but that's someone that just came on that I know personally that I would refer, and definitely suggest that you take the time. Get your mutual fund, get your insurance. You don't have life insurance, get you some. I don't care if it ain't for $50,000, whatever the case may be, but get you something. Make sure your children are covered, okay? So make sure that you are handling your business, okay? Make sure you're handling your business. If there was ever a time that you need to make sure you're on point with your business, now is the time. Okay? Now is the time. All right. Well, listen, I've enjoyed it tonight. I hope this has been beneficial for you once again. I may come back on later in the week, like I said, because as I get refueled and I get rejuvenated and I get empowered from others that I am drawing from, I want to share that and with you because I tap into different networks and different circles, just in educating my own self for the benefit of what I'm looking to do for my family, my children, and my grandchildren. So just want to encourage you with that. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to inbox me, reach out to me. You can go to my website. You can go to the contact page, send me an email, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. But listen, this is the time to get your structure in place. This is the time to be ready to go to the next level with your business. This is the time to get ready to win. All right. And you know, before a war, there's always a time of strategy. How are you going to combat the enemy? What's your approach going to be? What's the angle you're going to take? This is the time. This is the time. So you need to make sure you get your strategy together so that you're ready to deal with it when you get back on the battlefield when it comes to whatever it is that you do, because you want to be a conqueror. You want to be more than a conqueror. You want to be a winner. You want to be a victor, and you can be if you prepare yourself. Okay? All right. Well, thank you so much. Hey, Patsy, good to see you on tonight. Thank you for joining. I don't know how long you've been on, but if not, go back and check this out. Definitely listen, you guys. Share this on your pages. This will also be on YouTube. So for those of you who have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. I got to get those numbers up. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. There are sometimes some things over there that I may not have over here. And we're going to be adding some other things. As soon as I get with Brother Frederick, we're going to do some things. But listen, you all be encouraged. Definitely be prayerful. Listen, believe the report of the Lord. God is faithful. And one of the things that has been asked, at least by Pastor Isaac Petrie, and that is that we decree and declare that this thing is over by Passover. Over by Passover. Hashtag over by Passover. So we're believing God because we know God's faithful. We know that He's all in this plan. And what God allows, He's always in control of. And so He uses it for our benefit. And I hope that each of you are on your level. You are getting what it is that you need to get out of this situation. But at the end of the day, we are winners. We are victors. And there will be glory after this. All right. Okay, well, y'all be blessed. Love y'all. Appreciate you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week on Monday Motivation. May drop in before then, but definitely I'll see you back here next week on Monday night for Monday Motivation. Y'all be blessed. Have a good week. Love y'all. Bye-bye.